Are we on? There we go. Great. Let's go ahead and get started. I really appreciate everybody being here, and I'm going to introduce you in the back as Daniel Vasquez Eugenio, and he's our technology person here at the high school. And I just love that Daniel's here tonight. Daniel graduated last year, so he was in I had the seniors last year that I graduated, and he was one of, quote, mine. And now we are colleagues. And we're doing it the old school way. Our clicker that normally would move the slides forward is not working, so I'm just gonna give him some sort of signal, and he will help us move through the slides as we go along. I think this is just a good opportunity. I'm kind of in and out there. I will present some information, and I would love it if, as I'm presenting, feel free to raise a hand or get my attention, and we'll answer questions. And certainly when we're done, I'd love to stick around with you, and just it's important for me. It's part of my process of just getting to know everybody. And I was having this conversation just a bit ago. I feel like I am weeks behind on getting to know the kids. Not that I'd expect. There's 330 of them in this class. Not that I expect myself to know them, even half of them yet, but with the masks on, it's really difficult. I'm struggling, and I feel like I am an amnesia patient, that I will ask kids over and over again. And I can never teach and tell them. I can say, I remember this about you, just not your name. So anyways, it's important to me to get to know your kids, and I want them to feel comfortable coming to me and knowing that I'm a resource for them. I don't think I even said I am Kevin Ortega. I am the freshman class counselor. Okay, so Daniel, next slide. A parent, not just last week, asked me, what does a high school counselor do in these days? And I summed it up by a few areas. I assist the kids socially, emotionally, and academically. And then the fourth area would be, it's already time to start thinking about life after high school. And so even now as freshmen, my mindset is thinking about what things can we do for them, how can we help prepare this freshman class for life after high school. A good way to summarize it is I am your chief tour guide and main cheerleader. It's my job. I see my job as to guide you through this and encourage you and be an encouragement to you. So next slide, Daniel. I will be with this freshman class for all 4 years. So I consider myself one of the main supports for this group of kids. But the other sort of constant in their lives will be their advisory group, their AG. And in fact, we have Miss Bay here, who is one of the freshman AG teachers. There's about 13 AGs, give or take. And those groups form sort of a little tribe, a little family that travel through this journey together for all 4 years. So it's another person who is a constant in your son or daughter's lives. So, and what you need to know is I remember 4 years ago where parents had this impression, because the kids would go home and when they'd ask, what do you do in AG? It was like, sometimes we eat donuts and we do a little homework, but that was the impression that the kids gave to their parents. I don't think the parents realized the advisory groups, it is definitely a big part of it. Some of the last things that are down there are community building, thus the donuts occasionally. And there is time for homework on certain days. It's a great opportunity for that AG teacher to say, okay, pull up your grades. How are you doing? Why is that a D? What can you do to improve it? Start working on those math problems. So there is that part to it. But in addition to that, it's how we as the high school, we use that. That's our vehicle for teaching quite a few lessons on things like personal management, problem solving, communication, and career development. Those kind of things. So throughout the time, the clicker actually works. Let's see if we can. Yay, all right, excellent. We're in business. So it plays an important role in what I was talking about as far as preparing our students for after high school. So that's your AG, your advisory group. All right, so next slide. Some important, helpful resources. If you haven't already tapped into these, I really want to encourage you, go home this evening and see if you can get logged in. So Wazzle is what we call our grading program. Students have all been given a username and password, and they can use Wazzle and see their progress. Not just an overall grade, but down to every single assignment and test. They can see where they stand and how they're doing. Please be gracious to our teachers. It doesn't just immediately happen that assignment is completed and it's automatically entered into Wazzle. There will always be a bit of a lag. But in general, if you go into Wazzle, you can see basically where your student stands. And so students all have that. It carries, and parents also have access. They have their own username and password in Wazzle. And that carries over from last year. So if you were at the middle school or Evergreen or wherever you might have been, hopefully you still have that username or password. Parents, if you do not, at the bottom here, and I'm going to send out all of this information via Parent Square message, hopefully tomorrow, like a summary of all this with these kinds of things. But if you do not have that username and password, Miss Mraz, so at the bottom we give a contact where you can contact her, send her an email and say, hey, I've lost that, or I'm new to the district, I don't have the access, and Miss Mraz can help set you up. So, in addition to grades, the other things you'll see in Wazzle are, it has a link so that you can email teachers. Let's talk about that for a second. I really encourage to have the students be the primary communicators. So, mom or dad, not that you are involved, we need your help, right? Every step of the way. So we're not trying to cut you out. But mom or dad, if you see a grade you don't like, or an assignment, and the kid is saying, well, I turned that in, and there's a little bit of confusion, rather than mom or dad sending that email, I highly encourage you to say, Jacob, get online, log in, you send that email, and carbon copy me, mom or dad, right? You know what, though, I admit, sometimes I take shortcuts myself. Sometimes it's just easier, so maybe I'm dealing with a student, and I would like to guide them to do that, advocate for themselves, but I admit, I do it. Sometimes I'm just like, no, I'm just gonna shoot that email to the teacher, it's just faster. So I don't wanna make you feel guilty if you, as a mom or dad, communicate directly with the teacher, but look for the chances to make your kid do it, right? But parents, you can find the teacher's emails through Wazzle. If you wanna get really into it, there's a menu in Wazzle where you can create notifications for yourself, mom or dad, where you tell it, well, I want notifications if a grade drops below, and then you pick a threshold. So there's some neat things that Wazzle is capable of doing. I'm not sure how many parents access that, but it is something where if you're like, hey, I'm not gonna worry about it until I get the notification comes in because their grade dropped below a certain place. Or the other thing I would encourage you as parents is, maybe don't, if you're inclined this way, maybe don't check every day. Right, that may be a little much. They're high school now, but maybe you set yourself and say, hey, Friday evenings, I'm gonna check, or I'm gonna have it send me a notification to my inbox, and it's gonna tell me what your grades are. Be ready for Fridays, right? Or maybe it's even every other week or something like that, depending on you and your student. Okay, the other resource is Parent Square. If you do nothing at all, as long as you have given the school your contact information, an email address for you, if we send out Parent Square messages, you should be getting Parent Square messages. If you have not been getting things into your inbox, something's wrong, we've got a wrong address or something like that. So you should be seeing lots of communication from the school. I'd say I probably send out some, so far, like once a week I've been sending messages, give or take. So if you do nothing, you don't have to do anything to make Parent Square. It'll show up in your inbox. But if you download the app, you can then, it'll get directly into the app on your phone, and you can do a little bit more with it. You can say, I only want to get my messages kind of clumped together and appear at 7 p.m. or whatever time you choose. I want to have my messages translated into Spanish. So the Parent Square app is not necessary, but it could be helpful to sort of tailor and control the messages a little bit. Okay, keep moving. So, like I said, tonight, even though you're just freshmen, guys, it's already time to start thinking a little bit about the high school, the inline for high school itself. And so just real quickly to make sure that we're all on the same page, to graduate, at the moment, there's 3 things you need to be thinking about. And I think everyone's aware of the credits, right? There's 25.5 credits that Silverton High School expects, spread out among your English, your social studies, your science, your math, your different kinds of electives, those sorts of things. So you have to earn credits. Let's make that really clear, right? Freshmen, you get some eye contact. You have to earn credits. You have to pass classes to earn credits. D's and above gets it done. Although hopefully we're not shooting for D's, but a D is passing, a D earns credit. But on the other side, anything below a D does not earn credit, and you essentially do it over again. That might be in summer school, it might be the next year, but for about 8 years, right, 9 years, kindergarten through 9th grade, the consequence for not passing classes, well, in grade school, you didn't even have a pass or fail, perhaps. You didn't even have letter grades, did you? But maybe in middle school, you started earning letter grades. But the consequence for not passing a class was, well, we'll move you on and try and catch you up. The consequence now is you have to redo the class to earn the credit. So nobody wants to sit in a seat for 18 weeks. Let's use health as the example. No one wants to sit in 18-week-long health class only to get a 56%, which is not passing. You're 4 percentage points short, but yet you will have your behind in that health classroom for another 18 weeks, repeating it if you do not get that passing grade. So let's make that clear. Last year, SBAC testing, that's the statewide testing, was suspended. It was not required for graduation. I think we should assume for this class that you are going to have to pass basic proficiency reading, writing, and math. There's also some things that happen during your advisory group that are necessary for graduation. Things like career-related standards that you fulfill. You'll do a bit of community service, and you'll have an extended application project, basically like a little summary of here's what I like to do moving on after high school. Okay. Oh, how did I get there? Interesting, these are off from each other. Okay. So I was just talking about not passing classes. Let's go to the other extreme. What if you are a highly ambitious student and you would like to leave Silverton High School with an honors diploma? It's a chance, it's just a nice recognition on your transcript showing that you didn't just pass the basic classes, but you went above and beyond and you've earned an honors diploma. And there's kind of two ways of doing that. Academic honors, it requires that you complete 8 honors core classes. So those are going to be the more advanced. For example, you'll get chances to do that. It might be accelerated biology, it might be accelerated world history, it might be pre-calculus. That's why I gave all of you a curriculum guide. In the curriculum guide, I should know what page it is. It's probably around page 12 or so, but it will list out exactly which classes qualify as a, quote, honors class, and you'll need to take 8 of those before you graduate. Actually, no, it's not before you graduate. I've even underlined it, the third bullet down. It's at the end of 7th semester, your GPA. So you can't wait until the very end, just before graduation ceremony your senior year. You need to take care of business the middle of your senior year. So taking those honors classes, carrying a minimum of 5 A through F graded classes, and a minimum 3.5 GPA. That can earn you an honors diploma. Or you can earn it through an academic area, a program area. So in that case, you just need to complete 4 of the honors classes, but then on top of that, you have to take 3 credits in a specific area, in a program area, including the highest course offered. So for example, that could be anything from you could earn a program area's honors in world languages. So you took 3 years of Spanish, for example, and that would fulfill that. Or you could even do it in our metal fabrication. So if you took 3 years of metal shop with Mr. Towery, you finished his highest class, plus you had the academic honors classes, you could earn a program area honors diploma. Don't worry about knowing all the details of all that kind of stuff. It's in the curriculum guide, and I'm just letting you know, so even now, freshmen, you can start thinking about, hey, I'm gonna keep my grades up. I wanna shoot for some of those accolades. Hey, this is what I came here 4 years ago and I fell in love with the school. I think Silverton just does so many things so well. And one of the things I most appreciate about, I feel like we are really well-rounded. So we can serve you well if you are a college-bound student. We have over 30, I think it's approximately 33 classes where you can start earning college credit here and now. And they are the obvious ones that I think a lot of people might be familiar with and think about, like AP classes, advanced placement classes, advanced placement calculus, for example, advanced placement psychology. So I think a lot of people are familiar with advanced placement classes, and yes, those have the potential to earn you college credit. But we also have some in our art department. We have some that even freshmen now can take. We have a computer science class that is designed for freshmen and sophomores. It's an AP class. We have some dual credit classes, so it's not through the AP program, but they are coordinated with local colleges. And to be very honest with you, some of them are not that difficult. We have a drafting class where you can earn some college credit now. And it is not one of those classes where you're staying up burning the midnight oil trying to do all these long, difficult assignments. It's I'm not saying it's easy, but it's not like that scary sort of hard that we might think of for college credit. But my point is, I think for those kids who are college bound, and even for those kids who want to, like their goal is to go to an elite school, Silverton High School can prepare you well for that. But when I talked about being well balanced, if you, on the other hand, are interested in a trade or some sort of certificate program after high school, we take care of you. We have all kinds of programs. So everything from culinary, we have a fantastic business department, emergency services, fine and performing arts, computer technology, agriculture, automotive, construction, engineering, metal fabrication, health occupation. That's a great list of more hands-on trade types of programs that Silverton High School can prepare you for. Okay, I'd say we got a problem, but it's a good problem. And the problem is that, like I was saying, there's just too much good stuff here at the school. There are so many opportunities, whether it's academic opportunities or extracurricular opportunities. There's just, you are now at a big high school. This is like a small town. And there's a lot of great programs, a lot of great people, great teachers, and you're just not gonna be able to do it all. There's too much, you're gonna have to pick and choose, and you're gonna have to, like, with disappointment maybe say, darn, I don't have time. I'd love to be on the speech team, but I'm already in this and that. And you just won't be able to do it all. And the other challenge about that is that you have to take some initiative. Everything will not be, you won't get it all laid in your lap. So for example, I mentioned the speech team. You're gonna have to keep your ears open. You're gonna have to read your emails. You're gonna have to listen to those announcements, the bulletin announcements that are read in your AG classes to pick up that, speech team is, they're recruiting people, or they're starting this, or that. Maybe that's not a very good example, because the way speech works is it's through a class. You have to sign up for that class, and then you'll be part of the speech team. But FBLA, for example, Future Business Leaders of America, we were like state, Miss Miles was the state teacher of the year, advisor of the year last year. We have a fantastic program. FFA, oh my goodness, we have 3 different teams going to nationals. And it was that's quite an honor this year. And it was based on what they did in preparation last year through COVID. But if you're not listening and actively seeking out those opportunities, they're not just gonna be put in your lap. There's so much going on that you've really got to be, like I say, perk up, listen up, look for the chances, and ask for, get to know those teachers. Like, yeah, I put that as one of my bullets. Build relationships with teachers. If you think that someday you might be interested in a career in as a first responder, police, fire, ambulance, you need to know Mrs. Barnes. Actually, Dr. Barnes she's in charge of all of our trade and apprenticeship sorts of things, so she teaches classes for first responders, emergency services sorts of things, but she does a lot for any kind of trade. If you have any interest in a trade, you need to know Miss Barnes. You need to get in a class, and she needs to know who you are, and you need to be ready to communicate with her to learn about all the opportunities that are there. So I'm just giving examples. There's just so many that you gotta have your ears open. Okay, speaking of lots of examples, these are just some. This Friday we're gonna have an activity fair for the students where they can be in the gym and mill around among lots of groups that are gonna be saying, hey, would you like to come join the Key Club? Hey, National Honor Society would welcome you in. Hey, we've got an automotive club. So it's their chance to sort of go around and see what opportunities are out there. There are things, and these are just some of them. Auto Club, Cheer Team, FFA, FBLA, Gay Straight Alliance, Interact Club, Key Club, ASB, Las Aguilas, our Latino Hispanic Club, American Red Cross, Speech and Debate, Robotics, Link Crew Athletics, SACA, Outdoor School, FFA, National Honor Society, Mental Health Club. Once again, there's a lot of opportunities. Let me put in this little bit right now. The kids get like once a week, there's going to be announcements, a bulletin that will go out with saying things like, that this club is getting going, or the swim team starts signups now. And those are done through the AG. Parents, though, you can also access those through our website. And I've shared a link to that, and I'll do that again. But you might want to bookmark that so that every once in a while you peek in and say, what announcements are being read? My kid didn't tell me. We've always thought they were going to be a swimmer, but we missed that announcement. Okay. Some miscellaneous things that I'd want everyone to be aware of. We talked about graduation requirements to get your high school diploma, but if you want to leave the door open to being college bound, and I really encourage that. As a freshman right now, you might not see yourself as going to college, but you know what? I would love, your 14-year-old self might not know that your 18-year-old self will want to go to college. So I say leave the door open. And so in addition to just getting your high school diploma, you need to know that almost all the universities have a foreign language requirement. So before you leave Silverton High School, I highly recommend that you take 2 years of either Spanish or French. That will make you eligible for admission to most all universities. Algebra 2 or higher. So even if you are in algebra concepts right now, you don't give up. It doesn't mean you can't go to college by any means. Concept track can take you through algebra 1 concepts, geometry concepts, algebra 2 concepts, and then your senior year, you only have to take 3 years for your diploma, but if you want to go to college, you take that 4th year and you can get algebra 2 and be ready for a university. A little note, because we have a lot of kids that do go to California schools, the California school system has a fine arts requirement, fine or performing arts, and I know we had a lot of seniors kids that were scrambling last year to take maybe those 2 semesters of ceramics or the drawing and a painting class, but because they're not required to get your diploma. But if you want to go to a University of California or Cal State school, you need that year of fine or performing arts. Rotary foreign exchange, just a little tiny seed I'll plant right now, is that next year will be your chance to think about and apply to then maybe your junior year, do an exchange. So go to school abroad, somewhere outside of the US. NCAA athletic requirements. Sort of like how you get there's one level to get your high school diploma, there's another level if you want to go to university. If you want to be an NCAA Division I or Division school, so those are the big boy schools, right? U of O's and OSU's and Portland States and Colorado States of the world. If you want to go to a university, a Division I or II university, the bar is even higher. You have to take a certain number of NCAA approved courses. It usually means taking a little extra science, definitely have to take that foreign language, maybe a little bit extra social studies than the minimum that we require. But I will say this, and I'm not sure it's hard to communicate this like via email, but I do want everyone to be realistic. We rarely have kids that are Division I or Division II and that they go straight to university and that they need to compete, that they're eligible and ready athletically to compete their freshman year. So what I would say about this is, it pains me sometimes when I see kids that, no, it's tough. I like that kids have those dreams, right? There's nothing, in fact, that's a very good thing. To have that dream and that ambition and they see themselves as, yeah, I'm a college athlete. There's nothing wrong with that until they start making decisions and they try and maybe take classes that they're not ready for. That's where then I have to try and walk that fine line between not squashing dreams, but being realistic and make sure that they take classes that are appropriate for them. If you see yourself as a potential college athlete, we should meet in person so that rather than me making blanket statements, right? So definitely get a hold of me. If you or you see your son or daughter as a potential big time college athlete, then let's have some conversations. I very briefly mentioned we have Dr. Barnes who runs our pre-apprenticeship program. She does a lot that will help kids. Apprenticeships can be very competitive, and she gives our kids a leg up. Before they even leave here, she can help them to take care of some of the requirements so that their application looks better than the other kids that are, or the other young adults that are applying for those positions. You should all know about the Oregon Promise, that the state of Oregon, for the most part, in most years, for most all students, community college is free if you have a 2.5 GPA or higher leaving high school. 2.5 is not necessarily a super high bar. And it is community college. 2 years at any Oregon community college can be free. Some years the pool is a little bit limited, and so people of, I would say, very upper middle incomes and high incomes do not qualify. Sometimes they put a cap on it, and if your income and your assets are above a certain threshold, and it's a pretty high threshold, then you might not get that free community college. But I would say on almost most years, everyone, regardless of income, qualifies for the Oregon Promise, free community college. Okay, and then a new program that we have been involved with is the Willamette Career Academy. Just this year, we've sent a few kids there. It's a regional program. Right now, they have diesel technology, health services, and cosmetology. Next year, they're going to add a manufacturing technology and a computer science component. And essentially, our kids that are there now, they go and they get really stellar, hands-on training in these areas, and for about half the day, and they take half their classes with us. And that program is on Lancaster in the old Toys R Us. And it's a very specific kid. And so if we'll promote that next year, will be your chance to then apply for it as a junior to maybe attend the Willamette Career Academy. But it's a very specific student that kind of fits that mold, and so we'll give them lots more details about that. But I just want you to know that's an opportunity. It's a program that we're interfacing with. All right. We're getting down towards the end here, guys. The PSAT and the SAT. If you've got some kids that are older and have already gone through this, you're probably familiar with this, or maybe, it's been around for decades, so maybe you as a student, you are familiar with the PSAT and the SAT. Well, things have changed with COVID. Actually, even before COVID, things were already changing. It used to be that we would give every single sophomore the PSAT, and we will still, there may be an opportunity this spring to still give all of our current sophomores the PSAT. It's a good test to take that talks about, that kind of informs you of college readiness. And so for that reason, it's valuable. Sometimes kids don't realize, like, wow, I'm stronger academically than I realized. And it's great to be able to encourage them and say, hey, maybe your grades haven't been great, but look, you have this potential and we can see it in this test. It can be a really valuable tool. It can tell kids, hey, here's where I need some growth. If I'm going to be ready for college, I'm down here. I'm going to need to work and get my skills and my knowledge base up there. So it has valuable feedback for kids. In addition to that, the PSAT, for some of our strongest test takers, if they get a really good score in it, they're eligible for certain academic programs, scholarships, things like that. And it'll look really good when they start applying for scholarships and for college admissions. So it has that value to it. It's really just the first step before you then take the SAT. It's practice for the SAT. Well, here's the deal with the SAT. It used to be that, I would say, the vast majority of colleges considered your SAT score for admission, right? But because of issues around equity, and now because of COVID, it's just kind of accelerated all of it. The vast majority, in fact, I'm not sure if I can think of any college that requires the SAT. Quite a few of them still accept a score, and they say it's optional. There are some schools that say we are test blind, meaning we are not going to look at your SAT score. We're going to bring you on based on your course loads, your GPA, your activities, your essays. We are not going to look at standardized testing. So its value has diminished. It's not as crucial anymore. It used to be that, if you were college bound, you definitely were prepping for it and you needed to get that test and maybe take it a couple times. So let's see, when you all are juniors, I'll advise you maybe more specific, like, yeah, hey, you should go ahead and take that. There's nothing to lose except for, how many, 5 hours on a Saturday morning? Suppose you have that to lose, and maybe $50 or $60. But anyways, I think when we get there, we'll see how things if they've changed at all or not. But just know that it's not as crucial as it used to be. Okay. Some final thoughts. I hope you guys are brewing up some questions for me, maybe. So my final thoughts were just to reiterate what I've been saying, that we really, Silverton High School really does just have so many opportunities within the classroom and outside of the classroom. You know what, I haven't given any praise yet to our sports programs. I think we have fantastic sports programs. I'm a sports fan. I enjoy our sports programs on lots of levels. One of them being that we're really competitive. We're good. We have coaches that really take our kids to a high level, and that's fantastic. But to the general audience, what I love about our sports programs is that it gets our kids involved. I think 2 or 3 years ago, we had 180 kids on the track team. 180. That's a huge team. And that's at the same time that we had 60 girls playing softball and 50 boys playing baseball. I'm making up those numbers. I don't know exactly. But they were good, we had strong teams with lots of participation. There were 30 kids doing trap shooting. Like, who has 30 kids on the trap shooting team? Like, we do, because we just have kids that are involved. And I love, and near and dear to my heart are sports like cross country, where nobody gets cut. I mean, if you can just show up to practice, and even if you're not running the whole thing, just if you walk part of it, that's okay, you're on the team. Swimming is like that. We have lots of programs that, like, regardless of the kid's ability, there's a place for them. So anyways, that's kind of going back, I'm riffing off this idea of just so many opportunities for our kids. So it's not too early to envision yourself beyond high school, guys. It's actually time. It's time to really start thinking seriously about, okay, what do I see myself? Am I going to college? What skills am I going to get after high school? What kind of career do I think that I want? It's time to really be having those serious conversations. But these next 4 years are not just to prepare you for adulthood. Like, I want you all to savor these years. These are, in and of themselves, these are valuable. These are unique years in your life. So I hope that you will take advantage of all the opportunities just for what they are as teenagers before you leave the nest. Like, let's enjoy these years. So last thought, though, is about balance. There are so many things that you could be involved with. You hear me encouraging it, but yet there needs to be like a place where you finally say that, okay, maybe I'm doing yearbook and I'm playing one sport and I'm in this club and I've got some challenging classes. Like, at some point you have to say, okay, enough is enough. I've maxed myself out. I need to stay healthy. I need some rest time. I need just time to just be a kid. So I hope that you just know, what I want you to know is my heart. Because I'll make announcements and I'll send you parent square messages about, you could do this and let's turn it up, and right, you know that. But I want you to know my heart is for the kids to have some balance and some sanity in their lives and to take care of their mental health, right? So even as I'm letting you know about these things, it's not me saying, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. It's like, here's an opportunity, weigh it out, think about if it's right for you, right? Okay, maybe one last thought that I'll give along those lines is I'd want you to be thinking even now, academically, your freshman year, I usually don't discourage. If someone says they want to try accelerated physical science, I'm like, go for it. If they say they want to challenge themselves and do accelerated English, I say go for it. Rarely maybe I might look at a test score or something like that and say, maybe let's try this and see how it goes, and then you can step up next year. But in general, freshman year, I say go for it academically. Challenge yourself with the difficult classes, the accelerated classes we might have. Next year, you all are going to add on to your core world history. And if you're a good student, you're a strong student, you have good work habits, I'd say, okay, take the accelerated world history with Mr. Roth, right? Challenge yourself. But that's one more core class that you're adding. So how does it go this year? You have to ask yourself, how am I doing this year? Am I ready to take on that extra challenge? Do I have enough left in the tank as a freshman with just 3 core classes? Can I really add one more? There's probably a good chance you can. I caution you now, even now, is to be prepared. Your junior year is where it gets really tough. Because if you stay on that course with 4 core classes, and you take all of the accelerated versions of those, your junior year, those 4 classes are probably college-level classes. So your math all of a sudden is a college-level class. Your science, maybe your junior year, it may be chemistry, which is a college-level class. Your social studies is going to be, what would your social studies be your junior year? It'd be college history. So I said science, math. Your English, it might be equivalent to writing 121. So all of a sudden, as a junior, those accelerated classes mean you're taking 4 college classes. That's what college students do. They take 4 classes, right? That's a full college load. It's not quite, but it's pretty much like a full college load. Plus, you've got 3 other classes that you're taking. Maybe Spanish, maybe some electives. Plus, you're a high school student, so there's a good chance you're in a club and you're on a sports team. College students, rarely do they have those things, right? So the jump from sophomore to junior year can be a really big one. You need to make sure you're prepared for it. And some of our students are. Some of you should take all of those and take 4 college level classes plus your electives and be honest. I mean, some kids handle it, wonderfully. But some kids hit a roadblock at that point. So be prepared for, let's really be thoughtful, come to me, let's really think this through, especially that jump to junior year. Okay, so like tonight, it's just me up in front of you. We do have Miss Bay in the audience though too, so she's here, right? But really you've got literally like 100 adults that are behind you guys. And certainly I can't get you through this. Ms. Bay can't get you through it. Like, we need it. You have this huge team of adults that are a fantastic group of adults here to support you, get you through it. So I have all the confidence that you can do it with, like I said, with a team of people behind you. All right, so those are some of the things I thought of that I'd want freshmen to know, and their parents, just kind of a preview of the next 4 years. What questions do people have? Students. Or a parent. Yes.
Question about Spanish. So you had said that they need to take the highest level. They want an honors diploma. But the high school offers 4 years.
Yeah. So the question is, she's asked about Spanish, and that in order to earn an honors diploma, you have to take the highest level of a class. So the Spanish is. I'm hesitating for a moment because the requirements just recently changed, and I'm almost positive, I have to double check, I don't think normally it'd be 3 years, but I think that the Spanish department is going to require that you be what's called a program completer, which would be that 4th year. I'd have to double check though, because you're right, in most circumstances, within 3 years you can get to the highest level. Spanish would be one exception. So you've asked a really good question. I believe that you have to go the 4 years, but I'd have to double check it. So I covered a lot, things like the honors diploma. The curriculum guide that you have, it would be easy to look at that as just like recycling, right? It's halfway there. It's on recycled paper. I'd highly encourage you to, at the very least, skim that. Look at those pages and keep it in a place where you're not going to throw it out, because things like the honors diploma, things like NCAA requirements are on there, and then the vast majority of it is just description of classes. And when you forecast for classes, you do get to see a whole list of everything that's available, but it'd be wise to be familiar and go, oh, I didn't know that there was I'm trying to think what's the most obscure sort of classes that we have. Pine Street Records. I didn't know we had Pine Street Records. Pine Street Records is where the students are learning how to produce digital music and market it. It's sort of a combination of music and business. I don't know if it's really that well known out there. There's little hidden gems in that curriculum guide. You might be like, oh, wow, I didn't realize that I could earn college credit by taking the Painting 2 class. There's just all kinds of things like that. Things like that we have this AP computer science class that's designed for freshmen and sophomores. So if you're not in it already, know that, hey, next year I should sign up for that AP computer science class with Mr. Rankin. It's meant to not be too difficult. It's meant to be for freshmen and sophomores. I could, do that. Okay, any other questions people can think of? All right, so I'll send kind of a summary out, because there's lots of people obviously that weren't able to attend. We'll share this video, but a written summary and course, with that, oh, can I give you maybe a little request? So I send out things through Parent Square, but if you don't mind, I prefer if you would email me back. What happens in Parent Square is you get these little tiny reply chat boxes, and it's much more difficult for me to provide attachments, for example, or to bring somebody else into a conversation. So just as kind of maybe a help to me, I prefer if you want to communicate with me, shoot me an email. And that email is on the bottom of all those Parent Square messages. So if you hit the reply button on Parent Square, it's okay though. We'll make it work. Okay, I will stick around for a bit longer afterwards. If anyone wants to just come up and chat a bit, I'd love to. Thank you all for being here.